Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm repulsed to hear my colleagues' calls to destroy the one agency that actually provides for firearm safety. I vividly recall the tragic events that unfolded on February 14, 2018 at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, in my home county. That day, our nation witnessed one of the deadliest school shootings in American history, where 17 innocent lives were brutally taken and countless others irrevocably changed. The horror of it still resonates across our community. In case my Republican colleagues forgot, these victims were students and educators with dreams and aspirations snuffed out by an AR-15, which is a battlefield rifle. One was Alyssa Al-Hadaf, a 14-year-old soccer star. Another, Scott Bagel, a teacher who died protecting his students. My colleagues will and are citing what they claim are injustices today, but none of them will mention Scott or Alyssa's name, nor will they mention the tens of thousands of others just like them who are shot and die from firearms each year. My colleagues also won't share how Stoneman Douglas students huddled in classes or sent tearful, desperate texts to loved ones, or how every school parent was knotted in panic awaiting news about whether their child was alive or dead that day. But my colleagues are not here to talk about those real-life but grim gun realities. They want to bury those realities and ignore the fact that the U.S. gun homicide rate is 26 times that of other high-income countries. Instead, they brought us here to do the bidding of the gun lobby, and for that, they should be ashamed of themselves. Ms. Sampson, I want us to clear up the ridiculous assertion that gun dealers' licenses are revoked over minor clerical errors or typos. Isn't it true that clerical errors can often be serious problems that cause guns to fall into a criminal's hands, and that a typo could be an attempt to falsify business records?
That is true, and as you noted, when discussing the zero tolerance policy, there are 5 enumerated actions that will qualify, and it would be something like falsifying a record, which you cannot do accidentally. You can't, by a typo, falsify a record. It has to be a willful and deliberate violation.
Like, for example, it could include not running a background check on a purchaser when legally required to, or include selling that firearm to a violent felon, correct?
Correct.
Is it fair to say, then, that clerical errors includes very dangerous situations where firearm dealers shirk their duties and sell guns to criminals?
That's not only true, but they're not clerical errors when you look at what they actually are. These are deliberate and willful wrongdoings.
One such group of criminals that I'm concerned about getting their hands on guns are domestic abusers. Every month, an average of 70 women are shot and killed by an intimate partner. That's more than 2 per day in the United States. Yet today, we sit here so gun lobby lackeys can try to block background checks that would prevent these abusers from getting guns in the first place. We're here so Republicans can protect gun traffickers who skirt the rules and let guns fall into criminal hands. To pretend that non-compliant dealers are the victims, and we are losing thousands of our mothers, sisters, and daughters to abusers who get their hands on guns, sure seems like that's why we're really here. Ms. Sampson, how much more is an abused woman likely to die if her male abuser has a gun?
The exact statistic just left my mind, but I believe it's 4 times.
I think it's 5 times,
5 times
actually.
as likely. Yes.
And why is that?
It's because having a firearm in that situation makes it more likely for it to escalate quickly. And contrary to some of the statements around it being an equalizer for women, even if a woman has a firearm, she can quickly be disarmed and that gun can be turned against her.
Right, and yet I've heard my Republican colleagues say that the solution to this is for women to have guns too. Tell me, Ms. Sampson, does a woman having a gun in the home make her safer against an intimate partner?
Absolutely not.
In general, isn't it true that adding more guns to a violent situation actually increases fatality rates?
That's correct.
Before I yield back, I want to make it clear that we have far too many loopholes in our system. For example, my Jamie's Law legislation, named for Fred Guttenberg's daughter who was murdered at Parkland, would prohibit anyone from purchasing ammunition who is already barred from buying a gun. It's a common sense layer of protection, but federal law doesn't require a background check to prevent prohibited purchasers from acquiring ammunition. Jamie's Law closes this ammo loophole. Why do we need it? Nearly 40,000 people die from guns in the U.S. every year. That's 4 people every hour whose dreams are snatched away by a gun and a bullet, each one leaving a trail of sorrow and pain for friends and family to navigate over an entire lifetime. Now, it's only elected Republicans that are chained to the gun lobby, and Republicans are really good at saying that we don't need more laws, we just need to enforce the ones that are already on the books. Well, it's already illegal for prohibited purchasers to purchase ammunition, but we don't enforce it. So I think that all of my colleagues, I would expect, would join me in co-sponsoring Jamie's law, bringing it to the floor immediately so that we can actually enforce a law already on the books instead of adding a new one. Thank you. Practice what you preach. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentlelady yields back. Mr. Cummings, what was Brian